Hello, my name's Paul.
Hi, my name's Rachel.
And we are the English Language Lab. And this is our business English podcast, Bizpod.
We're going to try to teach you everything you need to know about business English.
So, whether you need English for job hunting, presentations, meetings, or any other form of communication, you have come to the right place.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy Bizpod.
So welcome to the next episode of Bizpod, and today's conversation lesson is all about effective communication. We're going to give you 7 tips on how to communicate effectively in meetings.
7?
Yeah, 7's a good number.
It's an odd number.
It might be odd, but it's also good.
Okay, well, let's start off. I want to ask you, what is having an effective meeting or communicating effectively in a meeting? Can you give me the definition between the two?
What? Meetings and communication?
Yeah?
A meeting could be what we're doing now. We're sat together across a desk and we are meeting about something.
But is it an effective meeting?
Well, I'm an effective communicator. It depends whether you're an effective listener.
No, seriously, what's the difference between having an effective meeting and communicating effectively in a meeting?
Okay, good question. An effective meeting, I think, is one of those meetings that is worthwhile. There's a reason or a goal for the meeting, and you achieve your goal through the meeting.
So maybe there's a problem, you find a solution, or a question and you make a decision.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, if you take a typical meeting from within most organisations, most of them, in my opinion, are a waste of time.
So ineffective.
They are ineffective. I have been to so many ineffective meetings, it's unbelievable.
Okay, so that's an effective or ineffective meeting. So what's an effective communicator in a meeting?
Okay, well, whether you're in a meeting or not, I think effective communication is having the ability to communicate your message, whatever you want to say, in a way that people can understand and respond to.
So clear, to the point, enough detail, direct?
Yeah, all of that.
Okay.
All of that.
Right then, Paul, so I suppose we better get started on these 7 tips.
Yeah, because there's 7 of them. Actually, let's read the 7 tips out and then we'll talk about each of them individually. Okay, so tip number 1, be on time. Tip number 2 is stay on topic. Tip number 3 is all about being positive. Tip number 4 is all about choosing the correct words. Tip number 5 is all about your body language. Tip number 6, listening. And tip number 7, don't get distracted in a meeting.
Okay.
Those are the 7 tips.
Okay. Are they tips or are they hints?
No tips, definitely.
I have a lot of students who get confused between the meaning of tip, hint, advice, help.
Well, they're all synonyms, aren't they? Synonyms with slightly different meanings.
Okay. Maybe we'll put that in the footnote of the document, the difference between those 4.
Okay. It's a little bit, a hint and a tip. It's a little bit like the difference between fog and mist.
Ah!
Okay, so do you know the difference between fog and mist?
No.
Okay. Mist is fog that you can see through.
Right.
Fog is mist that you can't see through.
Oh my God.
If that makes sense. Right, number 1. Be on time. How important, Rachel, do you think it is to be on time to your meetings?
Well, that's a very personal thing, and you know I like to be punctual. It really gets on my nerves when I'm late or people are late. I think it's rude.
How do you feel when your students are late to their lessons?
They get 10 minutes and then I'm gone. That's it. And they know that's it.
Yeah. So, if you want to communicate, you have to attend the meeting. You have to be there. And being on time, I know it's polite and it's showing respect to the other people who are attending the meeting as well, who've given their time.
Mm-hmm. But then there's the difference between on time and in time. And I always say to students, if you're on time, you arrive exactly at the moment when the meeting starts. But in time is to be there early.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really,
you want to be
5 minutes at least. Yeah.
So make sure you arrive. We're giving yourself more than enough time to arrive and settle down and be prepared for the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, if you want the best seat around the table, you want to get a coffee, quarter of an hour.
I think that's pushing it a little bit. So number 2, okay, stay on topic. How many meetings have you been to, Rachel, where you're supposed to be talking about one thing, but you end up talking about something completely different?
Quite a few. Sometimes that's the fault of the person who's running the meeting because they haven't created an agenda and circulated it prior to the meeting, which is helpful. But sometimes it can be by the participants because they digress, they go off on a tangent, they drag the conversation to where they want it to go rather than where it should be. They move the focus.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I think one of the key rules here, and it's not a hint, it's not a tip, it's a rule, is you've got to stay on topic. If the meeting is about X or Project X, that's what you talk about. Project X. Mm-hmm. Not Project Y, not Project Z, not meeting your friends down the pub after work. Yeah. Project X.
And who ate the last donut?
Yeah, who ate the last donut? It wasn't me. Number 3. This is one of your favourites, Rachel. Mm-hmm. Okay. Positive language. Positivity in a meeting. Mm-hmm. Why should you be positive in a meeting?
Because in business, people don't want to hear negative people. They don't want to listen to them. They'll find a way of manoeuvring you out the door. So you're just wasting your time and effort. Don't be a person who creates problems. You need to be a problem solver. But I always say, and it's true for anything, but I always say positive people get more points. So you're going to get extra bonuses at work, you're going to get extra recognition, you're going to get extra points in an exam. So, you only live once, don't be negative. You're wasting everybody's time. People don't want to know you if you're somebody who's always negative.
Yep. And I think you and I both agree that in a meeting, a business meeting, whatever kind of meeting it is, we're positive.
Yeah, you've got to be.
You've got to be positive. And that does lead us on to tip number 4, which is your vocabulary. So if you are positive, then you have to use the correct words.
What are the correct words?
Well, we don't have a list of the correct words that you can use, but I think your choice of vocabulary in a meeting is really important.
Are you talking about using the right words to persuade, the right expressions for courtesy, politeness and respect?
Yeah, certainly, all of that. But also, I don't know, perhaps if you have to speak during a meeting or you have to give some information, choosing positive words rather than negative words to describe what you want to describe. Mm-hmm. Choosing good vocabulary rather than bad vocabulary. It's not an easy one to define, but I think the idea of being positive, acting positive, and also speaking positive.
And that might be a good idea for us to do maybe a worksheet for people to have a look at some differences between positive language, positive vocabulary, and negative.
Yeah, why not? We can have a go.
Yeah, I'll include that.
Okay. Number 5, body language. Now, this is always my favourite body language. Rach, what am I doing now?
You're slouching with your arms folded, you've got a sullen look on your face, your head is down, I've not got any eye contact. I think you might actually be asleep.
So, would you say I'm being positive in our business meeting?
You're not even paying attention.
Exactly. So, body language, and I think in the COVID era, when we're all using, web conferencing rather than actually being in the physical location, it's easy to ignore your body language because you can just turn your camera off and you can forget about your body language. But I think in your meetings you should be forced to turn your cameras on, and you should be forced in that instance to make sure that your body language is, again, positive body language. Shows that your body language should show that you're paying attention to the meeting. Otherwise, why are you even there?
Yeah, I've got to say, in light of, as you said, this pandemic, the number of web conferencing we're doing and the number of learners we speak to who don't turn their cameras on, I've got to say it's actually disrespectful, because we turn our cameras on for them all the time. Never do I turn my camera off. And for them, if they're in their pajamas, it's disrespectful that you're in your pajamas. If you're going to work or you're studying, you get yourself ready as if you are going to meet that person physically. I just think it is very disrespectful and rude, and I can't say that strong enough. I really think, I don't believe anybody who says I don't have a camera these days. I mean, come on, I'm not stupid. Nobody buys a device without a camera these days.
Yeah, I mean, just as an example, okay, how many cameras have you got on your desk right now?
Including my mobile and my tablet, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, so everyone's always got a camera.
Spare one sat over there in the box in case one breaks.
Yeah, so everyone has always got a camera they can turn on.
Yeah.
Okay, so body language. On camera or in-person meetings, good body language. Positive, make eye contact.
Yep, shoulders back.
Yep.
Hand gestures are good if you position your camera so that we can see more than just your face. So, a good chest down to your waist would be good. Smile, come on.
Yeah.
And ladies, do your hair, put your makeup on. Don't look like you've just been dragged through a bush.
Backwards.
Yeah. You never know. If you're eligible, there might be an eligible guy out there who's looking at the camera and going, oh my gosh.
She's gorgeous. Okay, number 6. Listening. You should always listen to what's being said during a meeting. They say you have one mouth and 2 ears. So you should do twice as much listening as you do speaking. What do you think?
I agree. I was listening to you there, Paul. I didn't interrupt.
Excellent. Well done. Well learned. I'm glad you're following my tips. Okay, tip number 7. Don't get distracted during your meetings.
Oh my God, what's that on the window? Look, Paul, there's a flying pig.
No, you will never distract me. What's the one thing that most people get distracted by in a meeting, during a lesson? It could be a virtual meeting.
They want a biscuit, cup of tea, refill of the coffee.
No, that's just you. We're talking about most other people.
The doorbell because the Amazon delivery man's
No,
coming.
mobile phones.
Oh, I was going to say the dog next.
No, mobile phones.
Okay.
How many times have your lessons been interrupted by somebody on their mobile phone?
Yeah, that's rude.
Yeah. You can't do it. Turn your mobile phone off. Put it in a drawer. Lock the drawer. Throw the key away until the end of your meeting. Do not get distracted.
And then get a smartwatch so it delivers the messages anyway. No, it's true. It's true, because if you're in a meeting and you look at your mobile phone, it's very rude. But nobody will think you're rude at looking at your watch.
That's true, yeah. Well, it depends how many times you look at your watch. I mean, are you looking at your watch maybe every 2 minutes, and someone else in the meeting might think, wow, has she got another meeting to go to or something like that? Or, she's really, really, strapped for time. Anyway, those are our 7 tips for effective communication in a meeting. I want to talk about something else though now.
Okay, what's that, Paul?
A TED Talk.
Okay. A particular one?
Yeah, it's a particular TED Talk. We'll share the link.
Okay.
Right, so this TED Talk that I saw was all about communication, but it was actually about how your brain interacts, or how your brain is affected by communication, and particularly effective communication. Okay, it's a really, really interesting TED Talk. You have to watch the TED Talk to get the full story, but basically, when the outcome of this sort of TED Talk and the research that has been done is, if people in a room are being communicated to effectively, and they are effectively listening to this communication, all of their brains are in sync. Whoa. And it's been measured.
Whoa.
Yeah. So effective communication will basically mean that the people who are listening, it could be an audience of hundreds, could be an audience of one, all of their brains will sync together in the zones that deal with communication.
So you're sort of like mesmerising them, hypnotising them.
Yes,
wow.
It's kind
Power.
of. Yeah, it's power. And there's one good way which I want to share with you, which you can try straight away to do this.
Come on, I'm listening.
Okay. Right, so basically people like stories. So if you have something to say, saying it as a story or giving your information as a story keeps people more interested. Okay? So it's a little bit like, once upon a time.
I want to tell you a story.
I want to tell you a story. Okay? But so telling stories is one of the great tips from this TED Talk on how to communicate effectively. But even better still, people enjoy stories much better if they know the ending before you tell them the story.
So like watching I know who did it!
Yeah. So this is just one of the tips I got from this TED Talk. But basically, let's say I want to give you some information. Okay? I want to persuade you to do something. It's a new project. So what I'm going to do is at the beginning of my communication, I'm going to tell you the outcome.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you that at the end of my speech or at the end of this presentation, you are going to learn this, this, and this. You will know this, this, and this. Okay? Those are the three things that you're going to learn from my presentation. Okay? Now, because you know that, when you are listening to my presentation, those are the three key things that you are concentrating on and focusing on during the presentation.
So I'm looking for them.
You're looking for them.
Or listening for them.
Listening for them, and your brain is actively seeking them out during the presentation, and you are actually more receptive to the information I'm presenting to you because I've given you that knowledge beforehand.
So now I know why you said at the beginning of our conversation, we're going to give you 7 tips.
Exactly. And I told you what the 7 tips are. And that's the reason, because of that TED Talk.
Wow, okay.
So most people who have listened to this podcast, we have told them the 7 tips, and throughout the conversation they have been listening actively for those 7 tips and have been more receptive to the ideas of those 7 tips.
And I'll tell you what else you've done.
Okay.
You've done the classic speech, which is
tell
you what I'm going to tell you, and tell you what I've told you.
Exactly, yeah. Who does that come from? That's a famous quote from some American, isn't it?
Yeah, but I use it for students doing exams because everything should be in 4 parts: an introduction, 2 main points in the middle, and a conclusion.
Yeah.
So tell me what you're going to tell me.
You tell me,
and then
tell me what you just told me. Yeah.
Lovely.
So it rings true, and scientists have proven that tell actually does work.
Okay. I usually do tell though, because the 2 middle ones should be a positive or negative. 2 opposing points on the one hand, on the other hand.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay.
Anyway, there you go.
Okay. Very effective communicating
I know.
today, Paul.
Isn't Ted wonderful? You can learn so much from Ted. I love it.
Okay. We'll have to have a coffee with him again.
We will. Okay, that's it for this week.